just confirmed at Newcastle. 4 major updates have just dropped, and they're shaking things up on Tyneside. From an unexpected transfer pursuit involving a top European defender to a contract twist that no one saw coming, things are heating up fast at St. James Park. The Magpies are moving smartly behind the scenes, setting up major decisions for the January window and beyond. There's drama, strategy, and ambition written all over this one. And that's not all. We've got breaking news on a loyal star's recovery. A young prodigy Newcastle could beat Real Madrid and Barcelona for again, and a contract situation that's turning heads across Europe. Stay with us, because each update could define the club's next chapter under Eddie Howe. Before we get into it, make sure you hit subscribe and join our community of true Geordie supporters. Pierre Kalulu has become one of the most talked about names in European football, and Newcastle United have now entered the race for his signature. The French defender, currently at Juventus, has caught the eye of several Premier League clubs, including Tottenham, as reports from Italy suggest he could be available in January. Sources close to Turin claim that Juventus may be open to selling Kalulu if the right offer arrives, mainly to free up funds for their own transfer targets. That small detail has set off alarms on Tyneside, where Eddie Howe continues to look for a new defensive leader. Kalulu's journey has been impressive. Since joining Juventus, he's proved himself as one of the most reliable defenders in Serie A. Whether playing on the right side of defense or in the center, he's shown consistency, pace, and a calmness that's rare in young defenders. Newcastle's scouting department has been monitoring him closely for months, believing he would adapt perfectly to the physical demands of the Premier League. The idea of pairing him with Sven Botman has already excited many fans who see Kalulu as a long-term solution to strengthen the back line. Juventus are believed to value Kalulu at more than €30 million, a figure that could tempt them into selling. Newcastle, however, must tread carefully due to the PSR restrictions that limit their spending power. Eddie Howe and the club's sporting director Ross Wilson are understood to be assessing whether they can structure a deal that fits within the budget while still competing with Tottenham's financial muscle. Spurs, on the other hand, are said to be keen on Kalulu after losing key defenders to injury earlier in the season. That makes this a potential transfer battle between two clubs with very different needs. For Newcastle, Kalulu represents more than just another signing. He would bring versatility, being equally comfortable in a back four or a back three, and could also fill in as a right back if needed. This adaptability is something Eddie Howe values immensely, especially given the club's recent injury issues. Newcastle's back line has lacked depth at times, forcing players to operate out of position. Kalulu's arrival could fix that problem instantly, giving Howe more tactical freedom and stability. His ability to play the ball out from the back would also fit perfectly with the team's style. Reports in Italy suggest that Juventus would not normally consider selling such a key player mid-season. However, with their own ambitions to sign a new midfielder, they may be persuaded if a Premier League side puts forward the right amount. Tottenham's interest is serious, but insiders believe Newcastle have already made quiet inquiries through intermediaries. The Magpies are said to have contacted Kalulu's representatives to understand his wage demands and willingness to move to England. Early signs are promising, with Kalulu reportedly open to a Premier League adventure. The Frenchman's mentality has also been highlighted as one of his biggest strengths. Those who've worked with him describe him as calm under pressure, extremely professional, and very driven to succeed. That sort of personality fits perfectly into Eddie Howe's dressing room culture, where discipline and work ethic are non-negotiable. Newcastle's recruitment team has made it clear that character is just as important as ability when identifying transfer targets. In that respect, Kalulu seems to tick every box, which is why he's now near the top of their January shortlist. Of course, signing Kalulu won't be simple. Newcastle must not only compete with Tottenham but also convince Juventus that they can offer the right deal. That could include a loan-to-buy arrangement or even performance-based add-ons to spread the cost. The club used a similar structure when signing players like Lewis Hall and Sandro Tonali, helping them stay compliant with financial regulations. There's also the question of wages, as Kalulu currently earns a competitive salary in Turin. Newcastle will need to ensure they can meet his expectations without disrupting the current wage structure. Fans on Tyneside are already debating the potential move. Some believe Kalulu could be the perfect signing to push the team closer to Champions League qualification again, while others worry about the high price tag and the club's spending limits. Still, many see this as a sign of intent, that Newcastle are prepared to compete for top-tier talent even in tight financial conditions. The mere fact that they're being linked with a player of Kalulu's caliber shows how far the club has come since the takeover. Under Eddie Howe, ambition is now a permanent part of the conversation. Tottenham, for their part, view Kalulu as a key piece for their rebuild under their manager. They believe his style suits the fast tempo of English football and that his experience in both League One and Serie A has prepared him well. Juventus, though, remain in control of the situation. They will decide based on the offers they receive and how much they need to raise for their transfer plans. If both English clubs decide to make official bids, January could see a dramatic tug-of-war between North London and the North East. And Newcastle fans will hope their club comes out on top. As things stand, there's no official bid yet, but the groundwork is clearly being laid. Newcastle's recruitment strategy has become smarter, focusing on players who can improve the squad immediately but still have room to grow. Kalulu fits that profile perfectly. His defensive intelligence, pace, and technical ability make him one of the most sought-after young defenders in Europe. Whether he ends up at St. James Park or elsewhere, his name will continue to dominate headlines as January approaches. But make no mistake, Newcastle are in this race, and they mean business. Tino Livramento's name continues to echo around St. James Park as Newcastle United prepare to reward one of their most reliable young stars. Despite strong interest from Manchester City, the Magpies have made it clear that Livramento is not for sale. Sources close to the club say that Eddie Howe sees him as an essential part of his long-term project. The young fullback, who joined Newcastle from Southampton in 2023, has proven to be one of the smartest signings of the Howe era. Now, the club want to show their faith by offering him a new, improved contract. The 22-year-old defender has become a fan favorite because of his consistent performances and tireless work ethic. Even after suffering a serious anterior cruciate ligament injury during his time at Southampton, Livramento has bounced back stronger than ever. Newcastle took a risk when they spent £32 million to bring him in, but that gamble has paid off brilliantly. His composure, stamina, and ability to play on both flanks have given Howe tremendous flexibility in his defensive setups. Few players at his age possess such maturity and calmness under pressure, qualities that make him invaluable to the team. Club insiders have confirmed that talks between Newcastle and Livramento's representatives are ongoing. The plan is to extend his deal beyond 2028, offering him both improved wages and performance-related bonuses. It's not just a reward for his displays but also a statement of intent from Newcastle, signaling their commitment to building around young British talent. Livramento himself is said to be grateful for the trust the club has shown him, particularly after they supported his full recovery from injury. His strong relationship with Eddie Howe has been key to his development at the club. Eddie Howe's admiration for Livramento is no secret. The manager has repeatedly praised his versatility and professionalism, calling him a manager's dream in several press conferences. Whether deployed at right back or left back, he has rarely disappointed. His energy up and down the flanks has been vital in both defensive and attacking phases. Newcastle's system relies heavily on fullbacks who can support the wingers and press high up the pitch, and Livramento fits that role perfectly. It's no surprise Howe wants him tied down for the long term, especially with other clubs circling. Manchester City's interest came as no surprise either. Pep Guardiola has always admired fullbacks who are technically gifted and tactically intelligent, and Livramento ticks both boxes. City reportedly made discreet inquiries earlier this year, but Newcastle immediately rejected them. For the Magpies, the message was simple: Livramento is untouchable. The club's hierarchy believes selling him would send the wrong signal about their ambition. Instead, they've chosen to protect one of their prized assets by locking him into a longer and more lucrative contract. The recent injury scare against Arsenal caused real concern among supporters. Livramento had to be stretchered off during the 2-1 defeat, with initial fears suggesting a season-ending knee injury. Fortunately, the damage was less serious than expected. Eddie Howe later confirmed that the defender's recovery was progressing well, and he had already returned to light training on grass. That update lifted spirits at the training ground, where Livramento's presence is always felt. His professionalism and dedication during rehabilitation have impressed the medical staff, who expect him to return sooner than originally planned. The injury situation also highlighted just how important Livramento has become for Newcastle's tactical balance. With him unavailable, Howe had to shuffle his defense, testing different combinations that lacked the same stability. Players like Kieran Trippier and Dan Burn had to fill in at times, but it was clear that the team missed Livramento's athleticism and drive. His ability to transition quickly from defense to attack is something that few others in the squad can replicate. It's one of the main reasons the club views him as a cornerstone for the future. Newcastle's decision to reward Livramento with a new deal also reflects their broader vision. The club wants to build a core of young, homegrown players who can form the backbone of the squad for years to come. Livramento, along with players like Elliot Anderson and Lewis Miley, represents the next generation of Newcastle talent. The board sees these players as investments in stability rather than short-term fixes. By offering Livramento a new contract now, they're showing that the club is planning smartly, ensuring they don't lose key assets to wealthier rivals. For Livramento himself, the future looks bright. His performances have earned him recognition beyond Newcastle, with several pundits suggesting he's close to breaking into the England senior squad. The fullback's calm personality and humble approach have made him popular among teammates and fans alike. He has often spoken about how much he loves playing in front of the St. James Park crowd and how grateful he is for the support during tough times. That connection with the supporters is something that money simply can't buy, and it could be a deciding factor in his renewal. As things stand, the club expects Livramento to put pen to paper before the end of the year. The deal would make him one of the highest-paid young defenders in the squad, reflecting his value to Eddie Howe's system. Once fully fit, he'll return to compete for his place, but his position in the squad remains secure. For Newcastle, this extension would be a major victory, keeping a talented young player away from the hands of rivals while strengthening the long-term project. For the fans, it's another reminder that the future of this club is in safe hands. Keith Smith is the latest name linked with Newcastle United as the club look to repeat their clever signing of Spanish wonderkid Antonio Cordero. According to reports from TBR Football, the Magpies have joined a long list of elite European clubs interested in the young Dutch midfielder. Smith, who plays for AZ Alkmaar, has rapidly become one of the most talked-about teenagers in the Eredivisie. At just 19, he's already being compared to Kevin De Bruyne by UEFA officials for his passing range and vision. It's little wonder top sides like Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Bayern Munich are all watching him closely. Newcastle's interest in Smith reflects their growing ambition to compete with Europe's best in the transfer market. Last summer, they stunned everyone by beating Real Madrid and Barcelona to the signing of Antonio Cordero. That deal was seen as proof that Eddie Howe's project is attracting the world's top young talents. Now, Newcastle believe they can do it again. Their scouting network has been tracking Smith for months, impressed by his technical ability and composure on the ball. Sources say the club are exploring ways to bring him to Tyneside before the end of next summer. Smith's breakthrough came last season, when he played a key role for AZ Alkmaar in both domestic and European competitions. His performances earned him the Player of the Tournament award at the Under-19 European Championship, where he helped the Netherlands lift the trophy in Romania. Scouts from across Europe attended those games, and many came away convinced they had just seen a future superstar. His creative passing, close control, and tactical maturity have made him stand out among his peers. For Newcastle, that blend of talent and temperament is exactly what they're looking for. Eddie Howe has long been keen to add depth to his midfield, especially with the club competing on multiple fronts. Injuries to key players like Joe Willock and Sandro Tonali have exposed the need for more options in the middle of the park. Keith Smith fits the profile perfectly, a versatile midfielder capable of playing both as a deep playmaker and an advanced number 8. The club see him as a long-term project who could be integrated gradually, learning under experienced players like Bruno Guimaraes and Sean Longstaff. The goal is to strengthen without disrupting the current balance. At AZ Alkmaar, Smith has already shown the discipline and maturity of a seasoned professional. Coaches describe him as a natural leader who sets high standards in training and rarely loses focus. His intelligence on the pitch allows him to read the game several steps ahead, which explains why scouts often compare him to De Bruyne. Newcastle's recruitment team have become increasingly drawn to players like Smith, technically excellent, mentally sharp, and hungry to improve. Bringing him in would not only strengthen the squad but also reinforce the club's growing reputation for developing top young talent. The challenge, however, lies in convincing AZ Alkmaar to sell. The Dutch side know they have a gem on their hands and will demand a significant transfer fee. Reports suggest that several Premier League clubs, including Chelsea and Tottenham, have already shown interest. Newcastle, though, remain confident they can present a strong case, both financially and professionally. The club's modern facilities, passionate fanbase, and clear sporting project make them an attractive destination. For a teenager looking to develop his career, the chance to work under Eddie Howe in the Premier League could be irresistible. There's also the question of competition within the squad. Newcastle are reportedly exploring a move to bring Elliot Anderson back to the northeast next summer, which could impact their pursuit of Smith. Yet some insiders believe the club might target both players if finances allow. With rumors of Joe Willock potentially leaving, there could be room for two new midfielders. Howe has already proven he can manage young talents effectively, giving them the right balance of opportunities and guidance. Smith could benefit hugely from such an environment, learning and growing without immediate pressure. The comparison with Antonio Cordero is an important one. When Newcastle signed the young Spaniard, few believed they could beat Europe's elite to his signature. Yet the Magpies' persistence, coupled with their growing reputation, made the impossible happen. The same formula could apply with Smith. Newcastle are now seen as a serious project, capable of offering young players both playing time and development. The club's plan is clear: invest in talent before it becomes too expensive. That's how they intend to build a competitive squad without breaching financial regulations. Newcastle's scouting department continues to expand across Europe, focusing on markets like the Netherlands, Belgium, and Scandinavia. These regions have produced technically gifted players at reasonable prices, fitting the club's current strategy. Smith's rise has not gone unnoticed in those circles. Scouts believe he possesses the perfect mix of physical strength and tactical awareness to thrive in England. What excites them most is his potential resale value, a key part of Newcastle's sustainable model. Signing Smith could be both a footballing and financial masterstroke if the club moves quickly enough. As things stand, no official offer has been made, but conversations are ongoing behind the scenes. The expectation is that Newcastle will make their move once the summer window opens. Whether they can outmaneuver giants like Madrid or Bayern remains to be seen, but the confidence inside St. James Park is growing. The club believe their recent track record and ambitious project give them a fighting chance. For Keith Smith, joining Newcastle could be the perfect next step, a platform to grow, to shine in the Premier League, and to follow in Antonio Cordero's footsteps. Sandro Tonali remains one of the biggest talking points at Newcastle United, even after his contract extension was quietly confirmed behind the scenes. The Italian midfielder, who joined from AC Milan in 2023, has reportedly added an extra year to his original deal, keeping him at the club until 2029 with the option for a further 12 months. The extension was finalized during his suspension period, protecting Newcastle's long-term investment. Yet despite this positive development, reports suggest that Tonali's salary remains a delicate issue for the club to resolve going forward. According to journalist Craig Hope from the Daily Mail, the updated contract doesn't represent a new deal in the traditional sense. Instead, it's an administrative extension designed to secure Tonali's future without altering his current wage package. Hope explained on his YouTube channel that while the extension ensures Tonali stays longer, it doesn't fix the underlying salary imbalance within the squad. That, he said, leaves Newcastle in a tricky position, especially given Tonali's growing influence as one of the Premier League's top midfielders since his return to action. Tonali's weekly wage, believed to be around £150,000, places him among the highest earners at the club, on par with Bruno Guimaraes. However, there's a growing sense that the Italian deserves more given his quality, reputation, and the market value of similar players at rival clubs. For comparison, midfielders of Tonali's caliber at top 6 sides earn substantially more, often exceeding £200,000 per week. Newcastle's challenge lies in maintaining their wage structure without upsetting squad harmony, particularly as they continue to chase elite-level performances domestically and in Europe. This situation mirrors what happened with Alexander Isak before his move to Liverpool. The Swedish striker reportedly demanded a new contract worth £300,000 per week to stay at St James Park, a figure that exceeded what the club could offer. Unable to meet those demands, Newcastle reluctantly sold him for £125 million in the summer. The club are keen to avoid a repeat scenario with Toon Army, whose importance to Eddie Howe's system cannot be overstated. They want to keep him happy, motivated, and fully committed without sparking financial strain. Eddie Howe has handled the Toon Army situation with his usual calm and professionalism. When asked about the midfielder's contract in a recent press conference, Howe made it clear that such matters are now in the hands of Ross Wilson, the club's new sporting director. That will be one for Ross, Howe said, highlighting the new structure within the club's leadership. While Howe remains focused on footballing matters, he continues to have input on key discussions. His trust in Wilson suggests a united front when it comes to player management and long-term planning. Tonali's influence on the pitch has been undeniable since his return. His vision, passing range, and aggression have transformed Newcastle's midfield into one of the most dynamic in the league. He has seamlessly adapted to the pace of English football, bringing a blend of Italian tactical intelligence and Premier League intensity. Fans have embraced him wholeheartedly, admiring his passion and commitment. Even during his suspension, he maintained a visible presence around the club, attending matches and training sessions, earning respect for his humility and professionalism. For Newcastle, Tonali's extension provides much-needed stability in midfield. With Bruno Guimaraes and Sean Longstaff alongside him, the Magpies boast a technically gifted and hard-working trio capable of competing against any top side. The main concern now is ensuring that the club can afford to keep their stars together as their market values rise. Newcastle's ownership is ambitious but cautious, determined to build sustainably within financial regulations. Balancing ambition and prudence is the ongoing challenge, especially when competing against Europe's richest clubs. The wage issue extends beyond Toon Army. Newcastle's pay scale remains modest compared to other top Premier League clubs. This is partly due to their ongoing efforts to comply with financial sustainability rules. While the Saudi-backed ownership could easily fund higher salaries, doing so could risk penalties under PSR regulations. As a result, the club have adopted a strategy of rewarding players through bonuses and performance incentives rather than inflated base salaries. For Toon Army, that could mean renegotiations further down the line if his form continues at the current level. Craig Hope's report suggests that discussions about an improved contract might resume next summer once Tonali's situation has fully stabilized. By then, Newcastle will have a clearer view of their financial standing and squad planning. If he maintains his current trajectory, a pay rise seems inevitable. The club understand his value, both as a player and as a symbol of their ambition. Keeping him satisfied will be essential to avoid speculation linking him to clubs like PSG or Bayern Munich, both of whom have been monitoring his progress since his AC Milan days. For now, Toon Army remains focused on his football. He's said to be enjoying life on Tyneside and has developed strong bonds with teammates and staff. His maturity and dedication have made him a leader within the squad despite his young age. Newcastle fans continue to chant his name at every home game, a testament to how quickly he's become one of their own. While contract details can always be revisited, what matters most is that Toon Army feels valued. For Eddie Howe, keeping him settled could be one of the most crucial victories of the season. What a week for Newcastle United news. The potential move for Pierre Kalulu could transform the Magpies' defense. But do you think the club should pay over €30 million to bring him in from Juventus? Meanwhile, Tino Livramento's contract extension talks show how much faith Eddie Howe has in his young star. Would you say he deserves a big new deal after proving himself as one of our most reliable defenders? It's brilliant to see the club protecting its future while building a solid core for the years ahead. And how about the pursuit of Keys Smith? Once again, Newcastle are looking to outsmart Europe's biggest clubs by targeting another teenage sensation. Do you believe the Magpies can beat Real Madrid and Bayern Munich to his signature next summer? The ambition is clearly there, and it's a joy to see Newcastle United competing for the brightest young talents in world football. It shows the project on Tyneside is alive, growing, and truly attracting global attention. Finally, the Sandro Tonali contract story adds another layer of intrigue. The Italian's extension keeps him here long-term, but questions remain about his salary and recognition. Should Newcastle raise his wages to match his importance to the team? One thing's certain, Eddie Howe and Ross Wilson are steering the club with vision and class. Newcastle fans, you've been incredible through all the highs and lows, and your passion drives this journey forward. Wait, before you go, check out this breaking video from Newcastle.